Hi friends, how many times have you tried to repot a plant and then had to trim the plant and not had the right trimming tool? Well, here at Dinger Industries, we've got that taken care of with the Plantatine. And I know what you're saying, folks. You're saying, Tim, this is a guillotine. No, it's a Plantatine. Yes, it's the Plantatine. What it does is gives you the power to trim a plant. Look at that cut. That is a perfect cut. Perfect for any plant. Brought to you by the Plantatine. Remember, you want to trim a plant? Use the Plantatine from Dinger Industries. Hi there, neighbor Tim here again. Today we're going to repot a spider plant. Now this applies to any kind of plant, but this is a spider plant. Some people call it the kind of plant you almost can't kill. Well, I'm here to tell them they may just be wrong. And overall, you can see we've got a little bit of probably a fungus going on. It's probably a combination of a couple things. Probably the calcium in the water drying, of course. And then there's also, we've just got a little bit of that going on. Probably should have taken better care of that. Once again, we've got some stems that are in the death and dying stages and what have you. But luckily, we've got some really nice healthy shoots here. And you can see it by the leaves. And so we're really going to hang our hat on that we still have some possibility. We've got some life for this plant. There's not a lot of tools that you're going to need with it. Just really a couple things that I think you need to have here. First off is have a scissors, because we are going to do some trimming of the stems and the leaves and what have you. I always like to have a brush, to help brush maybe some of the dirt away from the roots. Got to have a bucket of water, and this is one of those ice cream containers that you can buy, 1.5 gallons of ice cream. So first thing you get to do, you get to eat the ice cream, which is always a good thing. And then you've got yourself a really nice bucket. So I always, recommend having some of these buckets around because you use them all the time. Finally, you're going to need another bucket, just something to be able to shake the plant off on as we're cleaning the leaves. Now, this is not an advertisement for Tidy Cats, but I'm going to tell you what, I do like their litter in that it gives us really good buckets to use around the farm and around the house. So I think we've got our tools, so let's go ahead and start cleaning up on this plant. All right, now it's time to try to get the plant out of here. Now we want to be fairly careful because we know we've got a fairly heavy root mass probably still in there, so we want to make sure we take care of that. But a lot of times I'm just going to turn it upside down and use my hand to try to protect it, and it should come out. There you go. All right, that did pop out pretty easy there. You'll see I've still got a lot of dirt in there, so I'm just going to go ahead and scratch around with my fingers, trying to be fairly gentle. You'll see I'm starting to expose some of the roots and everything. Don't be careful. These are pretty hardy. I mean, these roots are really hardy, so they're able to take a little bit of abuse. I wouldn't recommend dropping them, jumping up and down, throwing them to friends, playing pitch and catch, anything like that. Don't do that. But what you want to do is try to get as much of that old dirt out of there. I've done a pretty good job of cleaning these roots out. I think I've got most of that soil away like I talked about earlier. Now, while I'm working on the pot, because you're going to have to scrub and clean the pot real well that it was formerly in, just to make sure it's nice and clean and presentable again. I do need to keep these roots wet though. So I'm going to go ahead. I've got that bucket. Remember my ice cream bucket? I've got that. I'm going to go ahead and put those roots in. Does a couple things. First off, it keeps the roots wet, but also it's going to allow me to clean those roots even just a little bit better. Here's the pot that I had. You can see, it's got some buildup of, probably calcium over time and what have you. Some of the nutrients came out of the soil. A lot of things going on there. I could videotape me scrubbing this pot. I don't think you want to look at a pot scrubber, in action. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this off camera. And when we come back, we'll have a nice clean pot ready to go. Now, this next thing I'm going to tell you, there's going to be some controversy. I know somebody's going to disagree with me, but some are. And that's, do you put rocks in the bottom of a potted plant? I'm here to tell you it's probably not going to do any good at all, but I still do. It's sort of like, in the fall when we can peaches, and we'll do that at some point in time this fall, but we've got a lot of peach trees out there at the farm and we can peaches. Now, my grandma always told me, you put a pit in your peaches and it makes them taste better. Well, I've done a lot of reading and I cannot find anything that tells me I need to be putting a pit in my can of peaches when I can peaches. But I do it anyway, and I don't know why. So I'm going to do the same thing here. I've got a little limestone rock here. It's time to transfer the plant now back into the nice new clean pot. Now I always get potting mix. Of course, this is the Miracle Grow variety. There are several others, but what I really like about this is there's already some nutrients built into the soil itself. So it does a nice job. It gives a good head start to your plant, really giving it the nutrients that we need. I want to get a lot of the dead growth on this plant. So I've got a nice healthy looking plant. So I'm going to be snipping a lot of that away. When you snip it away, sort of remember, start to think about where the buds are. And what I mean by buds is, if you'll see, it's really not real clear here, but there's little, nodes, I guess you would say, on these stems. You always want to cut right behind that node, cut a little bit of an angle there. You get a good clean clip there, but that also gives your plant some opportunity for future growth. I think my plant's ready to go ahead and be put back now into the pot. Once again, I've got my roots nice and clean. I've cut off a lot of the dead the dead leaves, the dead stems and what have you, just making sure I've got that. And I've already filled my pot about 1/3 of the way full of soil. So I'm going to go ahead now and put that in. As you see, I'm really leaving about an inch or 1/2 inch to an inch around the edge of the pot. And the reason I do that is that when I put water in, I don't have water overflowing. We're going to go ahead and water. I always like to even get a little bit of water on the plants themselves. First off, it cleans the leaves because I do have some dirt that got on those leaves. So you do have to give it a little bit of time to soak down, and that's what I'm going to do here. Well, there you have it. I think this is really going to turn out nice. You'll see now I think we've got a nice healthy plant ready to grow. It's got a new medium to grow in, that being that nice rich soil that's got all the nutrients and everything that this plant needs. I've watered it. I'll keep an eye on it for the next few days as far as, additional watering needs and things like that. A lot of people tell me they don't have a green thumb or whatever. Pish posh. I think everybody can do something like this. So give it a try. Happy potting. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to put them in the comments section. This is Tim with Ask Neighbor Tim.